I've got a question for you. How valuable would it be if you could double your productivity starting today? I'm going to share with you a webinar from some of the training that I did recently. Hacks, tips, strategies on how you can double and even triple your productivity in as little as 3 or 4 weeks. And people have paid me as much as $3,000 a head to attend private masterminds to learn these strategies that I'm going to teach you in this webinar. Enjoy.
So how on earth did I go from $75,000 in debt, living in my mom's spare room, to cracking the 7-figure code? How did I achieve the impossible and make my first $1 million just 10 months from being completely broke? The bigger question is this: how do new entrepreneurs like you compete with the deep pockets of the 800-pound gorillas in today's marketing world? My name is Gregg Davison, and this is Guerrilla Marketing Secrets. To share with you guys, but let's talk about. Let's do a quick recap of the for 5 minutes of the last couple of weeks, and I'd love to get some feedback from you. Week 1, we had mindset. We talked about the supreme importance of understanding you are your business. It's all about you-ing, and your income will never exceed your personal development. And you must work harder on yourself than you do on your business. I know you guys loved that session, and a lot of you started working on Anthony Robbins and listening to personal power, doing some goal setting. Who's been doing their personal development consistently almost every day, if not every day, for the last couple of weeks? And very importantly, what changes have you noticed? What changes have you noticed? Give me one word that springs to mind. Are you more positive? Are you more optimistic? Are you more enthusiastic, determined? So attitude adjustment, positive, confident, positive, awesome stuff. And very importantly, can you see that this, the study of working on your mindset is literally the highest leverage activity that you could possibly do in your business, because everything stems from you. Can you imagine what you're going to be like a year from now? Let's say you nail this 6 out of 7 days. Well, a year from now, that's something like 300 plus days. 6 out of every 7 days, spending 30 or 60 minutes on your mindset every day. It really compounds, and it's not going to be 300%, but even more, because you have that compound effect, whereby the 1% and the next 1%, and then the next day 1%, and the next day 1% really starts stacking up, not just on top of each other, but these little 1% really multiply the impact that it has on your mindset, your thinking, your attitude, and of course, consequently, your business. So think about where you are right now. Maybe this is version, Valerie, maybe this is version 2 of Valerie Thornton. And a year from now, you're going to be all the way up to, version 4 of Valerie Thornton, literally twice the person that you are right now. It's pretty incredible to start to notice these transformations in ourselves. So I know you got a huge amount of value from week 1, and I'm pretty confident that you will keep this up every day. Who's going to keep this up every day, they think, for the rest of their lives, because they're really understanding the benefit, not just in their business, but in their personal life, in their family life. Right on. And then week 2, guys, we had Productivity Mastery Part 1. And I have to commend each and every one of you who took the time to not just show up, but actually do your homework as well. and start planning out your days and start planning out your weeks and start using Google Calendar. And again, who's noticed a huge benefit from actually having a plan for the week and a plan for the day versus just getting up and going, okay, what am I going to do today? And maybe you check the Super Affiliate Network Facebook group and something pops up that sounds like a good idea, versus now we've actually got not a final plan or a concrete plan, but at least we're starting to plan. So you guys starting to really notice the benefits of being a lot more organized and being, there you go, Ace and Rich, in control of your day and in control of the actions that you're planning out. So Moses is saying planned out great and it worked out great, 75%. That's outstanding, Moses. Well done, you. So just a little bit of housekeeping, everybody. If you could please make sure that you put all of your homework in the comments when you do your assignments, as opposed to putting, let me get closer, as opposed to putting things in the file section. If you could leave the file section for stuff that I'm going to upload, PDFs from the trainings and supporting documents and that kind of thing. I would love to maybe have more time to give you some individual feedback on some of your posts and some of your assignments and stuff. However, to be honest, I'm just super chuffed that you're putting something up there, and that shows me that you're doing it. And in all honesty, guys, all I would do is probably just comment, hey, that's awesome, great work, well done, keep it up. And it's really not a good use of my time to do that, but know from me that I do, take a 20-second look at each and every one of your homework, to have a look at your diaries and see, or have a look at your homework assignments and understand how well you've actually grasped the lessons from week to week. And it seems like you're getting it, you're really understanding at a level of comprehension that I'm just really happy with. And I know that, much like I've done for probably the last 20 years, ever since my corporate career in sales and management, that again, like the mindset, the productivity, learning to plan your diary, plan your day, plan your weeks, will just get better and better as the weeks go on. And it never ends up being perfect. Still to this day, I sometimes get frustrated at myself when I do my weekly planning, and then I look back at the week and I'm like, man, I probably achieved, I certainly achieved my one big thing, and we're going to talk about that today. But a lot of the week still seems to be a little bit out of control. Promote, and then we can get the nitty-gritty sit down with you. Promote, and then you can get the nitty-gritty sit down with you. Okay, Moses, yeah. So, and again, the affiliate program is live, guys. Just a quick recap. I mentioned this last night, but for every member that you refer, you'll get $100 as a commission. And for every 2 members that you refer, thank you, James. For every 2 members that you refer, you will get a one-on-one coaching call with me. And hey, if you knock the ball out of the park and get 4 members, then you'll get 2 coaching calls with me. Maybe one next week and one the following week. I mean, who would actually love to really go deep with me and have me look at your business and have a conversation with you personally, one-on-one, without anybody else, so we can talk about sensitive stuff. We can really drill down and find out what's holding you back. Then super simple, guys. All you have to do is go to promote http://topgunearlybird.com. The link is in the Facebook group if you want those bonuses. All right, so let's dive in. This week we are going to cover, we're going to wrap up productivity, and I mean we're going to go really, really deep this week. And the first thing that I want to start off with is, let me share my screen. And let me pull the chat out separately. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, great. Yeah, right on, Alicia. Give you the opportunity to earn a treat, to earn some nice cold hard cash, as well as something which is a lot more valuable cash than cash, which is some personalized coaching with me. So just get on promoting it, promote it to your friends, anybody else that you know in online marketing, whether it be Super Affiliate Network or anything else that you market. I'm sure that you agree that this stuff is really applicable to anybody, even though we'll be talking very specifically about some top tier stuff later on down the track. This really applies to any kind of marketing business. So where do I want to go? Okay, so let me double check. Can you guys actually see there's a like a white square with a circle with 24:55? It's like a timer, yeah? Cool. So I'll run through this really quickly, but I've been talking about Pomodoros and this concept or this strategy of working in 25-minute blocks. And this is kind of one of my cornerstone or keystone tools that I use, and it's called Be Focused. And you can get Be Focused for, I'm not sure about the PC, I think so, but you can definitely get Be Focused for the Mac, for OS 10 and above. I use the free version on Mac, whereas I actually use the Pro version, which I think is, it's like $2 or $5 or something like that. And I got to say that the extra features that you get with the mobile version. So I have this on my iPad, and I also have it on my iPhone. And I tend to use it on my iPhone. Like my setup is I have dual monitors. So I have a monitor that's right in front of me. I have a second monitor which is off to the side of it. And for anybody who still just works on single monitors, the extra investment of $100 getting a second monitor and actually hooking that up and connecting that to either your desktop or your MacBook will significantly increase your productivity, because it allows you to have one screen that you actually work from, and another one screen that you work in, and another screen that you actually work from. So for example, the screen to my right hand side is where I might have my notes and stuff, and then I use that to actually apply on the screen that I'm working in. Who actually uses dual monitors here? How many of you guys are, put a number 2 if you use dual monitors, if you have a system with either 2 or even more monitors in your business. Put a number 2 if you're a dual monitor kind of person. The Guzmans have got 4. Yeah, 2 each. Right on, guys. And I'm even going to go triple monitor. I'm going to upgrade my whole system, I think, next week or in a couple of weeks, and actually go triple monitor. But short and sweet, dual monitors significantly increases your productivity. There are YouTube videos on how to hook them up, guys, and where to plug them in, Marivi, and so don't be afraid of it. But you'll just find that you have so much more real estate to work from. Like you can have a browser open in one window, and then you can have like Notepad open in another. It's just really amazing. But this particular app here, which is called Be Focused, I seriously recommend each and every one of you get this. Of course, you can use a, I'm just going to start it counting down. You can use a regular old like kitchen timer or your phone, but the added advantage of Be Focused is that it allows you to, let me show you this. It allows you to put in the task that you're working on, and it will record that particular task. So here you'll see I've done some Pomodoros for Asana, YouTube, email marketing, learning in YouTube Academy, Facebook group, planning my day, and other, which is like miscellaneous. And then I can look at the end of the week and I can go, right, great. I know that I recorded like 65 Pomodoros, which is about 30 something hours worth of work. And I don't have to do anything extra to track what I'm actually doing. So I can go, great. I know that I spent X amount of Pomodoros or X amount of time on this particular task. I know that I spent X amount of time on this particular task. And think of it like this. At the start of your week, you're going to plan your week. So you're planning, right, this is what I want to get done. And this is how much time I kind of estimate I'm going to spend on certain things. And then at the end of your week, you can actually go, right, I know that, and there are graphs and all kinds of stuff I'm not going to get into with this. But there are, there's like bar charts and graphs built into this that you can actually see exactly how many Pomodoros you spent on each particular activity. And then when this is counted down, the alarm goes off and it automatically jumps to 5 minutes. Let me have a look. And you can, change these. So you can set your work breaks, your short breaks, your longer breaks, sounds, all that good stuff. And so I have my iPhone to the right-hand side, and I actually have my iPad. So effectively, I've got monitor number 1, I've got monitor number 2, I've got my iPad, and I've got my iPhone. So I really have 4 screens that I work from. It's a little bit like really is like a dashboard or like a cockpit. And I find that by, versus the way that I used to work, let's say 10 years ago, with just one monitor. In fact, I think I've been dual monitoring for, no, I've been dual monitoring for probably the best part of like 20 years now. I can't even remember the last time I just had in fact, when I'm on a single monitor, like if I just borrow maybe Hannah's laptop or something, I find it really limiting in terms of how fast I can go and how much work I can get done. So be focused, definitely check it out. I recommend the professional version. You get that for your iPhone, and then it syncs across to your tablet, and you can sync it up with your PC as well. Let's just pause that and shut down QuickTime, which is just allowing me to show you guys my screen. Okay, so let's dive into some more productivity. We talked about focus. We talked about working in Pomodoros last week. I know you guys have been working in Pomodoros. Raina, is Be Focused just for Mac and Apple? I'll tell you what I'll do to avoid me getting off track here. I'll go through the questions at the end if I can, rather than just interrupting my kind of my flow here. So we touched upon routine rituals last time, routine rituals that really work. And if you remember, we spoke about myelination, which are the neural pathways in the brain that have been consciously programmed that get stronger and stronger every time you do a certain subject. We talked about Hebb's law. Remember, neurons that fire together. Can anybody finish the sentence? Neurons that fire together. What do they do? Anybody remember Hebb's law from last week? That's right. Yeah, neurons that fire together wire together. So we make sure that our rituals are consistent with our goals. Imagine a year from now, guys, looking back, and what we're going to go through today is highest leverage activities. But can you imagine looking back a year from now, having consistently 5 or 6 days per week nailed your highest leverage activity? Like, what would your business look like a year from now if that was the case? So I plan pretty much everything in advance in finite detail. So for example, when planning a gym day, make sure that you fully pack your bag the night before. I got to be honest, I don't do that, and I know I've got to be authentic, because I know Hannah's on here, and she'd be like, "You don't pack the gym bag the night before." Sometimes I do. But here's really something really important, guys. When creating a new ritual or a new routine, you must create a well-detailed, well-architected plan. And you also must plan the on-ramp and the off-ramp. So the on-ramp and the off-ramp are the 5 or 10 minutes before you get into that particular activity, and then the transition from one activity to the next. So here's an example from my own business. If you detail and flowchart every process that you have, so think about, in this particular case, writing or creating a video, but it could be writing an email broadcast for your list. It could be doing a Facebook Live. And so planning out a video, there are 12 steps that I've identified that need to be done. So number 1 is the video research, and then the keyword research, and then I script the video. Number 4, create the keynote. For example, if I'm using slides or if I'm kind of integrating some kind of presentation that I teach from. Not always, sometimes it's just a talking head on camera, but sometimes it requires some additional stuff too. I like to use, presentations and that kind of thing. But anyway, and then creating the thumbnail. So I have a guy who now does my thumbnails for my YouTube videos, but it's super easy to create your own thumbnail and very important. I'm not really going to get into the mechanics of video marketing today. This is really about understanding the process for every ritual, whether it's a high leverage or just a, kind of regular leverage, and I'll help you understand the difference in a second. And then practice the recording. So I always do like a dry run and pretend that the camera is on. Anybody who's done video marketing knows what it's like when you fuck up your words and you stumble and stutter, and if you don't practice your recording, we're not all Gary Vaynerchuk and we can't, nail our content off the bat. Record the video, then in ScreenFlow, create the title, description, tags, upload to YouTube, publish, and then once it's been published, I write a broadcast to my list, and my method of operation is also to then broadcast the video to the list. So there's 12 steps there. It's probably going to end up like something like 15 when it's in practice. There are 1 or 2 little nuances there. But here's the point. Whatever you do or whatever you need to do, put everything in place so there is no friction, no interruption, and no distraction. You're creating the optimal flow environment. So one of your assignments this week is, I want you to, once we've gone through this session, I want you to identify the high leverage rituals in your life, in your business. So for example, we've already created our morning ritual and our evening or end of day ritual. Who's doing their morning rituals and their end of day rituals fairly consistently as well? I don't think anybody's doing 100%, because even I don't do 100%. There are times when I just basically can't be bothered. I'm too tired at the end of the day, and I'm like, fuck it, I just want another cocktail, and that's me done. I'm not perfect, but I would say that I get it done probably, 5 out of 7 times. Right on, guys. So you guys are just doing your morning. Yeah, the PM ritual is really hard. It takes a lot of discipline to think at the end of the day, oh my gosh, now we've got to take 20 minutes or 25 minutes and evaluate my day. But if you really do that, you'll start to make some big distinctions on your personal productivity. So again, here's your homework. In your life and in your business, I want you to start creating some rituals, and I want you to post 2 new rituals for this week. So that's 2 new rituals for this week. So 1 out of your business. Again, that might be creating a video, doing a Facebook Live, doing a solo ad. whatever your primary marketing method is that you do that's giving you the most traction in your business right now, I want you to plan that out and actually step by step create a checklist like a ritual so that you can start to really optimize the flow of that particular thing. So next I want to talk about getting out of, I realize we've had no break. We'll get a break at the top of the hour this time, guys. I want to talk about getting out of the gray zone. What is the gray zone? Actually, let me just. So what is the gray zone? I know you guys are reading that, but I want you to think about the things in the activities in your life as being black. The activities in your life as being black. And every time so what do I mean by that? I mean, like, this is me hyper-focused on teaching you guys on a webinar. So I'm in a box right now. I'm in a black box. Now, when I finish the webinar, there's white space. And the next black box, I know after the webinar, is going to be me actually cooking a meal for the family. So we're going to have a nice meal tonight. And that's a whole nother black box. Now, I got to step out of this black box and forget about work, forget about the webinar, and entirely focus on cooking the best possible meal. And then I've got to step out of that black box and then sit down with the family and be with the family and be present with them. It's very, very easy to come off a webinar and supposed to be cooking, but my mind's still on the webinar thinking, did I deliver everything properly? Did I get my content across? Did I miss anything? And guys, if I'm doing that, I'm in the gray zone because I'm not in this black box and I'm not in the other black box. I'm somewhere in between. So do you guys ever find yourself, I know that you do, think about maybe when you're with your family and you're thinking about work, or when you're supposed to be doing a Pomodoro and you have a little, what I call a brain fart. Shit, I got to do this thing for the kids. And then you find yourself getting distracted and thinking, okay, what time am I going to do that thing? Or maybe I should do it now. And then you're bouncing out of your Pomodoro to go do that thing. And then when you're actually with the kids and, you should be 100% focused on being with them and giving them your undivided attention, you're thinking about the work that you didn't do. So this is what's called the gray zone. And if you think about, and it's also like multitasking. Multitasking lowers your IQ more than marijuana. Tim Ferriss actually proved that. It's really bad for the thing that you're trying to do. Like, we can only focus on one thing at a time. So it's really ineffective in terms of that thing that we're trying to do at that given time. But it's also really bad because think like, when you're with your kids or when you're with your family, you should be with your family. And I'm guilty too. I can be sitting there watching TV and Hannah can see that my mind is just somewhere else. And she's like, hello, where'd you go? Earth Greg. And I'm like, I have to snap myself out of the gray zone. So let's talk a little bit about how to stay out of the gray zone. Well, firstly, we have to fully embrace this concept that we can only focus on one thing at a time. We can only give 100% focus on one thing at a time. And so if we eliminate the notion that multitasking is okay, or it's good, or it's productive, then that's half of the battle. The other side of that is when we're actually focused on that particular thing. For example, if you run your day using Pomodoros and using an app to keep you on track, like Focus Timer, then it's great, because we know that everything will survive for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And as much as we can't always 100% control the flow of information in our brains, there can be so many triggers when you're in a Pomodoro and you're supposed to be focused on. Facebook's a great example. Like, let's say we go on to Facebook and we're actually on Facebook because we are, we want to, let's say, create some kind of post that's going to enhance our social media marketing, right? Let's say you want to write maybe a mindset or a productivity post, or you get on there and you want to do a Facebook video, and you get a bunch of messages, and then before you know it, don't you seem to get distracted and like looking at your messages and then replying to people on those messages? So we've really got to catch ourselves at the start of the Pomodoro and go, okay, this 25 minutes is mine, and this 25 minutes is mine to do a Facebook Live, and I'm not going to answer any messages, and I'm not going to get distracted down a rabbit hole. So it's very much, guys, a conscious effort to focus on what we're focusing on at that time, which is actually why I love Be Focused, because I have to type in, okay, Asana tasks or YouTube or whatever I'm focused on. And then I just get hyper-focused on that one thing. And I've been doing it for so long now, rarely anything ever gets me sidetracked. So it takes a lot of focus, and it also takes discipline, guys, to use this outside of work. My old mentor Jim Rohn said, "Be where you are. Be where you are." So whenever you catch yourself thinking about work or thinking about the affiliate contest and wondering who's winning or anything, and you're supposed to be either cooking or you're supposed to be, with your family, be focused where you are, guys. Just catch yourself and snap yourself out of it. We can't use Pomodoros for everything in our life. We can't just run around with a timer kind of glued to our head, ticking out over every 25 minutes. But I want to talk as well about minimizing distraction and interruption, because often we're in the gray zone and we're getting pulled away from tasks because other people interrupt us. I talked a little bit about this last week. So we need to program other people to not interrupt us. The best way to do that is to schedule your interruptions. Have designated times when you are allowed to be interrupted, especially if you've got family, guys. So maybe you could say, okay, between 6 and 7, the kids have my undivided attention, and I can be there. And then maybe between 7 and 8, I'm going to schedule something called enlightened multitasking. So enlightened multitasking is actually a time where I have what I call an enlightened multitasking period of my day between, let me see, when is it? I forget it, my calendar. Yeah, but between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m., I have an hour where I batch my communications. So I'll check my email, I'll check Facebook messages, I'll check, what else do I use? Skype. And in that hour, I'm actually free to be interrupted. I allow, I check voicemails, and if there are any important voicemails that I need to get back to people, I'll do it within that hour. But generally, outside of that, outside of 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., I am incommunicado from the rest of the world because I'm marketing. So I would suggest that you do the same. You have certain pockets of time through the day where your kids, your family, emails, phone calls. So it's called enlightened multitasking, and you can merge that with what I call batch communications. And you'll find that if you really set aside the majority of your day for high leverage activities that we're going to go through in a second, and just have little 30, 60-minute chunks where you can communicate with people, because guys, for the most part, your communications with other people are actually their agenda, things they need from you. So it's super important to put your stuff first. And I promise you guys, when you get this business and marketing thing and money thing handled, like when it's bringing in the money, the rest of your life works a lot easier. Does that make sense? Like if you focus on, okay, business and revenue producing activity comes first, the rest of your life just gets a hell of a lot easier. You seriously have not got any major problems once you've got the money thing handled. But the mistake that most people make is that they allow everything else in their life to take priority, and then they tend to fit their business in like a hobby where they can, as opposed to the other way around. Not the case for a lot of you guys. I know, especially for people like Ace and Rich, who've really got this dialed in. So some other things that you can do here, guys. I'll share with you these notes I'll create a document so it's there in the file section. You can go and recap this stuff. But you can even have an autoresponder if you want to, that responds to your emails and says, sorry, I'm not available, but I'll get back to your email between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. That was something that I learned of Tim Ferriss. Clean focus, clean cuts, and changing channels. Clean focus is about being focused on one thing at a time. And again, we do this by having chunks of time, either 25 minutes, which I prefer, or 50 minutes, which some people like to do. Asking yourself at the start of a Pomodoro, am I focused on the task at hand? And super important, if we lose our focus, we just bring it back. If we lose our focus, we just bring it back. We are, and I say this because we are collectively, just as human beings, we are terrible for beating ourselves up about every little thing that we get wrong or we do wrong. And even I do sometimes. I'm a hell of a lot better than I used to be, but do you ever find yourself getting mad or talking nasty to yourself because you lost focus on a particular task, and then all of a sudden, you found yourself doing something, and you're like, how the heck or how the fuck did I actually get here? Which is what I say to myself, what the fuck am I doing right now? I was doing this thing. And then just before I start naturally getting angry at myself, I go, okay, just calm. Let's just regroup, refocus, and get back to the task at hand. I can't choke that down to a full Pomodoro. That was an interruption, but I'm okay. And don't beat yourselves up, because talking nasty and beating yourself up, talking nasty to yourself and beating yourself up is going to do nothing but just spiral your your cortisol and your adrenaline through the roof. And a chaotic mind, which is not calm, cannot be creative. A chaotic mind which is not calm cannot be creative. So super important to, you can be pumped up, but we need to be calm to be focused and to be creative. Which is really why it's a good idea to, even though I'm all for holding yourself accountable and holding your own feet to the flame, yet always kind of veering on the side of optimism and veering on the side of having a friendly conversation with yourself, even if you're giving yourself a little bit of a talking to for some excuses that you've got going on or not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we're going to talk about possibly the most powerful element of productivity. And if I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the most powerful element of productivity. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll dive into that. See you back in 5.